Hello and welcome to Against All Odds, a program that is dedicated at showcasing survivor stories. My name is Rachel Munyeheli, and today's story is one that will definitely interest you. Imagine surviving food poisoning. Imagine being told that someone was after your life. Was it because of the success? Was it because someone was envious? Was it because someone was trying to eliminate her? Well, joining me to tell her story is Sibonokuhle, who's here to tell us how she survived food poisoning. Help me welcome Sibo to Against All Odds. Sibo, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome, Rashi, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here today and tell my story. I'm actually truly honored. My name is Sibonokuhle, and I'm the visionary of an organization called Empowered Women.
Okay. So, Sibo, before we get into your story, let's just get into a bit of a background of your upbringing.
Right.
How was your upbringing like? Was it good? Was it okay?
So it had its own ups and downs, right? So I'm born and bred in Bulawayo. It's a suburb called Barberfields. I was born at Impilo Hospital to a family of 9, 5 boys and 4 girls. And my father used to work for some private company, and he was the sole breadwinner of the family. So I was an intelligent child. Sorry, I'm not bragging, but from primary school, I remember I was a head girl at grade 7, then I went to Form 1. So things changed when I went to Form 1. I was my dad's jewel, so he took me to a private school. So in Form 1, he then lost his job. And so he was forced to move me from the school I was to a community school.
Okay.
And you know, the community school was like the most looked down upon, like the ghetto school. They would actually call it Mara, like the rubbish school. So it traumatized me a bit. But when I got there, I said, I want to change the environment. So when I got into that school, I introduced this to us called Sobugazi High School. I introduced public speaking. And fast forward, I was then asked to go and participate for some competition for junior parliamentarians. And I won. So I was actually the first person to be a child parliamentarian from a constituency called Makokoba. And then I got the privilege to work with the senior member of parliament for Makokoba then. And that's when my sort of leadership journey started. I then came to Harare fast forward. I was then made a child minister in the junior president's office. Yeah, so then I started redefining myself. I was like, you know what? There's something big in store for me in this. And then I worked with the Zimbabwe Youth Council and started working with different organizations, found myself then founding an organization for young girls, which we called the #Whispers. It was just to educate young women to participate in leadership positions, grooming and etiquette. And then I joined other bigger organizations and some boards, which I'll tell you about later.
Okay.
And then fast forward, so in my upbringing, I remember when my dad lost his job, he started going to the farm. So he would bring vegetables, and of all the children, I'm the only one who would sell with him. So this thing of entrepreneurship was within me. So I would fight even at school to sell jam and vegetables. When I'm going back home, I buy a loaf of bread. Started being responsible at a very young age. Yeah, so fast forward, then it was 2017, I had a child. So she was 3 months old. And I had gone to visit Bulawayo. I was now in Harare. So I went to Bulawayo to visit my parents. Then the night before we could come back, she choked. And then we ran to the hospital. And then the next day, the doctors were like, we need paracetamol. And then I didn't have $5 to buy paracetamol, and my daughter died.
Oh, I'm so
So
sorry.
yeah, so from that experience, I hate poverty with a passion. Yeah. So then I then started saying, you know what, let me create empowerment programs to empower women so that you always have $1 a day, so that when days really get dark, you are able to stand in the gap.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You know, from your background story, you can actually tell that you were very passionate about climbing the ladder.
Yeah.
And you know, like you said, you got to a point where a situation put you to the state where you're like, I need to empower other women,
Yes.
so that they're not found in a situation where if they're stranded, they don't have anything to lean on.
Yes.
That being said, you then started working for women organizations, and you
Yes.
also came up with your own female
Yes,
organization.
yes.
Just tell us about that.
Okay, then so I work with different women's organizations. Maybe if it would interest you for me to say their names out, I work with the Women's Coalition of Zimbabwe, where I lead the cluster of politics and decision making. So it's just about conscientizing and grooming, actually adding the extra grooming to the female candidates who would want to participate maybe in political spaces. We also work with women generally, even in the private sector, some managers and all that.
Okay.
So with the Women's Coalition, I usually take part when it's the days like the 16 days. I'm an advocate on issues of GBV, gender-based violence, and violence against children and girls. And so I carry a lot of work around that. I'm also passionate about fighting the issues, especially of gender-based violence and violence against women.
Okay.
Yes, so I also work with some other organizations. There are so many movements that are there, goal-getters, inspired women. So I'm actively there. Anything to do with women, they are at the core of my heart.
Okay.
Yeah, so I push for that. I'm also in some regional organizations, again, that focus on women. So you will realize that the work is almost intertwined. Yeah.
Okay. So now getting to the story where you actually got poisoned.
Yeah.
Let's just, take our steps into that particular journey.
Okay.
You were working for an organization before, and then you started working for a particular organization where you were climbing the ranks.
Yep.
All right. Now let's just talk about what happened in that particular space.
All right. So I started working for an organization called #Whispers, where I also broke so many strides. I think I recruited so many young women and girls. We were making impact in schools. Our presence was in all the 10 provinces. We would go right round doing programs. And then at the same time, I have a passion for orphans and vulnerable children and widows. So at the same time, I was doing philanthropy work where I would give and donate. So then there came a period where the people who would fund us were no longer interested in the issues of young girls and whatnot. And then so I used to do what we call grocery rounds. So I would mobilize a few women, and then we do they call them silos in other spaces. So we would then do these grocery rounds, and then they grew, and we were doing so well. And then I thought, okay, why don't I formalize this? So this is where the empowered women came in. So I moved a bit from #Whispers and decided to focus on empowered women. So what happened with empowered women was I wanted to work with 20 women, which I started off with. But from those 20, in a space of 3 months, we had already made impact. I remember we bought fuel savers, we did rounds. So they were like, no, we want to. They started inviting their aunt, their sister, their aunt, and then we started growing. We got to 50, and I was like, no, I don't have the capacity because I want to have a relationship with the people that I lead. The 50 couldn't understand. They invited more people, and numbers just went overboard. Trust me, at one point, I really needed like some guidance. Good, okay, can I do this? So everyone would say, it's your calling, you've got this, and people would push you, And then along the lines, I would feel comfortable, Rashi, with the women. Trust me, I was so relaxed. I felt like
because they were family.
Yeah, they were family, and I could relate.
Yes.
So I was over comfortable. I was so relaxed. I always tell people that this poison issue found me while just eating ice cream. I was so relaxed. Yeah. So usually at times I'm ready. I'm that.
Okay.
I take things as they come. So and then I had the privilege to be asked to represent our country in some Africa Women's Summit. So when we were there, I did my presentation and all that. And that day they were appointing country presidents. Then I was appointed the country president for Zimbabwe. So when I came back, I now had this post.
Okay.
Being a president and being a visionary
Yeah.
and being a director of Whispers.
So you were...
Right. I
Okay.
was like, me and my Kokoba girl, you know.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop you there.
Yeah.
As you can hear Sibo narrating her story, she was very passionate about empowering women, that she decided to work in women's spaces with an organization where she gathered women so that they can create a group whereby they would help each other achieve things. This group grew bigger and bigger until she actually became a representative as a president for one particular organization. When we come back from the break, we're going to find out how did her becoming the president of an organization lead to poisoning. This is Against All Odds. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Against All Odds. We continue with Sibo's story as she was narrating her achievements, telling us that all she wanted to do was to climb the ladder. But in climbing the ladder, she also wanted to make sure that she empowered women. And in empowering women, maybe some became envious. We're about to get to the point where the food poisoning comes in. Sibo, you've been chosen to be a president for an organization. You are now leading regionally. You're doing so well. You're saying that the poisoning incident came at a point where you were very comfortable. You were very relaxed. Let's continue with the story there.
So apparently last year I broke the records again. I brought in some Americans under some other big international organization. So they had done some awards in London actually, where they were recognizing women. So it was women, like, you know, the big women's with, you know. So, and then God being God, I won an award. I was a gold winner for being the most influential woman internationally. So because some of my fellow sisters from Zimbabwe couldn't afford to attend, I pleaded with those guys to come so that we celebrate this site. So again, they came and we had our celebrations. But from the last celebration, that's when I felt my body wasn't really responding properly. So people will say, Sibo, you are overworking, rest, relax. So I continued like that, but time and again, because if you hear me saying I'm down, it's rare. But at that point, I would have these weird episodes where I was not feeling okay, I was not feeling okay. And then I kept pushing. And then now towards the end of the year, I was like, okay, I've worked hard. I actually put my work for 2025 down. And I was like, how did I even do this? It's things that I look at and I think, no, this is not normal. But I did it anyway. So I was relaxed, Rashi. And then I got home, I sat, and then I was like, let me get a glass of water. I didn't walk 5 steps. Then I fell. And then went to hospital. They said it's a mild stroke. We will manage it. And indeed, it was managed. I went back home. The same week, it hit me again. And the doctor was like, it's not. This is not normal. This child doesn't have blood pressure. She doesn't have sugar. Something must be wrong. And then fast forward, I was taken to a hospital. Then they were like, her system is full of food poisoning.
What?
Yeah.
You mean the doctor ran some tests to find out what was actually going on? So it was scans, tests and everything. And then they found out that there was food poisoning that was happening.
System. Yeah. So the minute they said food poisoning.
When you say, Sibo, let me just ask you this question. When you say food poisoning, usually when you hear food poisoning, we think about vomiting. Kuruta. And bacterial infection, stomach flu. Is that what we're talking about? Or we're talking about
intentional food poisoning to kill, actually. Sorry, I'm not exaggerating. But I guess that was the intention.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was basically someone trying to poison you. Okay.
Yes. So, and then, so my system then just went, I got defeated. My pain came from saying, I know it's women. That thought, because I was working with women all over, wherever, whichever space I was. So I said, but God, why? You know, after doing all this. So then they tried to drain that poison. Then this like, we have failed to drain all of it because you have been moving with the poison in your system.
For quite a while.
For quite a while. And then, okay, then that made things even worse. And then my body continued deteriorating. And then they had to do some MRIs. they were like, I've got a brain damage. So I get the poison, then went and hit my brain. And the report was the brain is shrinking. So yeah, the rest was history. What then came after that were episodes that I can't really relate, because at some point I lost my mind, like literally.
When you say lost your mind, you mean you lost your memory, you couldn't?
Yes, I lost my mind. I was almost going mad. I think I was short of being taken to annex. So because from now, when the stories I'm hearing, people get shocked and like, you were now talking Chinese. And I go back actually, because I'm trying to understand, okay, what then? So when I take my phone and I try to scroll back during that period, the things I was sending people were not making sense.
Okay. So
you know?
you mentally,
yeah,
you were
I was
not
mentally gone.
Yeah.
Actually. So so I'll give you a funny example. At one point, I was asking my niece to give me a blanket. Yet she stays in South Africa. Yeah. So she then says to me, "You were crazy." So I was like, "Okay." Because I then came, my phone was flashed. Some things, they were like, you would post weird things. So my memory had actually really gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I came out of hospital, and my most downfall was, I then suffered a condition called psychosis.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's a
because
mental
maybe
condition.
of the pain, it was a mental condition. That was actually, of everything, that episode traumatized me, because I would see animals where they are not meant to be there. My food would come, the plate would be full of ants. I would throw ants down. I'll see animals on the TV screen. It was bad, actually. Then I remember at one point I just wrote on my WhatsApp status for help. Yeah, I just said help. So I think people thought, and I didn't get that help. So that was, for me, the most crushing moment. But also, during that period, I lost everyone.
Who was close to you?
Yeah, I had no one, actually, from the colleagues that I have. They suddenly, I was like, okay, the people that I thought would then maybe be there. I mean, I lead a movement of so many women. The space just also got a little bit smaller. So I was there now, I couldn't walk. I was put on crutches. At some point I was given a walker. So I would walk like, on both hands. It was painful. And then I moved to a crutch. My speech was gone. I couldn't even speak sense myself.
Okay.
And the ability to even bath myself or feed myself, I had to depend on someone else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you can hear Sibo narrating her story. She went through food poisoning, and we're not talking about a bacterial infection, but someone who was trying to eliminate her. In other words, someone who was trying to poison her to the extent of killing her. This affected her mental health because she went through a psychosis episode. When we come back from the break, we want to find out, how did she survive this? Because it's not easy having to lead women, and yet the same people you're trying to help would want to eliminate you. This is Against All Odds. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Against All Odds. We continue with Sibo. Now, Sibo, just before the break, was narrating how she then found out that she went through an episode of food poisoning. And this didn't happen at once, but it happened over a period of time. It then got to a point where it affected her body. She fell. The doctor thought it was a mild stroke. It happened again. And then the doctor decided to run some tests, only to find out that someone was trying to poison her. She then went through psychosis, a mental state where you see things that are not there. And she felt alone because no one was there to support her. Now, Sibo, you're leading a group of women. You're expecting that you would have support from, people that you've also helped, but you are alone in this race. How did you recover from this tragic story that you're telling us?
Okay, so with the women that I lead, because most of them were new members, so my expectations were not so high. I think what broke me was the women that I've walked our life journeys with, who I expected to then come through or stand by. But nonetheless, with the movement, the few of them, because again, people didn't know what I was going through. So with women, they were dependent on me for strength. So I was going through a valley, and they would send their problems. So which actually made my mental state even worse.
Yes.
Yeah, so you need to stand in the gap for them, because I would say, you know what, I signed up for this. And then, yeah, so it affected me so much, actually, that my first encounter in going to meet the women, as soon as I walked through the conference room, I broke down. I literally broke down. And then I'm a strong believer in God, and I went back and I said, God, okay, if you take me now, here is a list of the things I've done. Tell me who's going to replace me. And then I was reminded that I'm being taken through a process. But I then said, you know, the process is very painful. It's actually very painful. So then I decided to say, what, you know what, this is me, this is Sibo. And then I got reminded of my dad, my late father. He always said when I was young, he always said, my child, you're going to be a very powerful woman and whatever. So those words kept ringing. And I got reminded of the verse that he would always say, Joshua, I will be with you, I will walk with you. I was like, okay, let's do this. So somehow, these guys organized a meeting. I went and I pulled through the meeting without really being emotional about it. But then I remember towards the end of last year, there was just a few weeks after the whole incident, there were awards that were done. I was not supposed to be part of those awards. Then they were like, when they were about to finish the awards, they were like, there's a special award. We recognize this woman, she has done this, and today she had 20 women graduating, and I knew that was me. So it really broke me again. But I had the guts, because it was at a very big conference center. I took the microphone and I said, I'm crying because I'm being recognized of the work that I do. But amongst you guys, one of you wants me dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the reality of that keeps coming. It has affected me mentally, because even now, I need to move around with the lunch team.
You're now scared.
Yeah, I need to move around with the lunch team, with a bottle of water. Even if you go to a space, you are hungry and you don't have a lunch team, you are scared to even eat. Yeah, but then, interesting enough, this year started on a beautiful note. I feel my bones and my muscles are ready to fight on. Yeah. Yeah.
It's such a survivor story, Sibo, and it takes away the aspect of trust.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think trust can be eroded quite easily, and people don't realize that. You're even talking about, you know, you can go into certain spaces and you're not comfortable eating food because the next thing you're thinking is someone
poison.
trying to kill
That's
me
it.
again.
That's
So
it.
you constantly have to be, you know,
Conscious.
feeling safe and thinking, should I eat this? Should I not eat this? You know, second doubting yourself and things like that. But like you said, your body is back. You feel like you're ready to work again.
Yes.
And you even talked about how your father said you're going to be a very well-known, strong woman who influenced so many people. And, you know, that says a lot.
Yeah.
It talks about your resilience as a woman. And just to be curious, are you going to continue working with women? Are you going to continue empowering women?
I had given up, Rasha, I'll tell you the truth. At one point, I remember calling these ladies, I was like, I'm shutting down. They were like, you can't, we really need you. But you see, also, because even through those dark moments, surprising things would come. Like, I got nominated to be a judge for the Women Changing the World Awards. I don't qualify. It's just the two Zimbabweans who are in that panel. And then a day later, I'm amongst the most influential women, top 100 in Africa. Then I was like, this is my thing, you know what, whatever the case. And then, if I tell you, Rashid, that last year alone, I got 64 women stands. We bought 49 fuel savers. I took 57 women back to school to do a certificate in business management and entrepreneurship. We had established 50 new businesses. We supported over 50 of our women in businesses. We got them passports, anything you can think of around women.
You worked with them.
I did that. And this year, just next week, I'll be taking them for training for driving tractors to plow. And, another success story. Some partners said to me, we want you to start a Women in Leadership Academy, we will fund you. So you're going through a moment, but you know, all these things are in a space of a month. This is in January, and all these great things are happening. But, you know, those who know, actually, I think the people around me are also now a problem. Because if you tell them you're going to ZBSO, you're going, be careful.
Ah,
be
shame.
careful.
No, I think they're just looking out
yes,
for
they
you.
are, you know.
Yes.
So at times I try to forget. Then they will quickly, a message will come through. Like I'm supposed to get an award this week under the iconic and honorary award. They were like, don't post.
Ah.
Yeah, so, you know, there's that. So, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what I can say, Sibo, from your story is that when God says, I'm not done with you, he means it.
Yes.
And we're thankful that you've come through to Against All Odds to share your story with us. We
Yes.
appreciate it. You're a resilient woman, and we know you're still climbing ladders.
Thank you so much.
Please continue with the good work that you do for women.
Yes, all
Great.
right. Thank you so much, Rash. I actually called myself Grace Child after this whole charade.
You are definitely a Grace Child.
But also just to those who are watching, maybe to the women, to say in this fight against poverty and wanting to empower each other, let us just know that we are not competing. We should collaborate our efforts. If we do that, we will do even greater and bigger things together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sibo. Definitely appreciate it.
All right.
Well, there you have it. A resilient woman who's not giving up on empowering women. Although she has faced challenges, she's saying, I am not done. And as God says, if he's not done with you, he will still elevate you. These are the stories that we share right here on Against All Odds. Until next time, do take care.